Hello, welcome to Brilliant Academy. So quickly, let's see how to calculate for our shear force and also how to calculate for bending moment and how to represent them in diagram. But you're going to see if you're doing the course strength of material, you're definitely going to come across this. So for this class, we're going to start with something very simple, just so you could get the concept, and then we proceed to more complex problem. Alright, so before we get started, let's quickly understand the action of shear force and bending moment in a beam. So if you have a beam like this and it is loaded, what's the action of shear force and bending moment in the beam, like the internal reactions?
Alright, so when a beam is loaded, there are two kind of reactive force that occur within it. So one is a force that is trying to pull it down, and the other tends to cause it to deflect or rotate. So from the diagram, you can see the shearing force that is trying to pull the beam downward. Now, as a result of the shearing force that tries to pull the beam downward, the beam tends to make a deflection, a curve. So the down part of the beam will experience a tensile force, while the upside of the beam will experience a compressive force. Now, the combination of these two forces tends to cause a rotation. So there won't be any net force, but then it will tend to rotate. So that's the measure of the ability of the beam to cause that rotation. That is what we measure as moment. So your shear force diagram indicates the shearing force trying to pull the beam upward or downward, while your bending moment diagram measures the tendency of the beam at that particular point to bend or deflect.
Alright, so I guess that's clear enough. So the next thing to consider here is that what is the shear force at any point of the beam? So it is said that the shear force at any point of the beam, let's say you're taking this point, the shear force at this point will be the sum of the vertical, either forces going upward or downward, summed to the left or to the right. And also for the bending moment at any point will be the moment produced by all the force, either to the left from that point you're taking or to the right from that point you're taking. Don't worry, as we start to solve, when we start solving, you get to understand the concept properly. So usually when you're given this question, your task there is to calculate for the shear force at every critical point of the beam. So by critical point, I mean you calculate for the shear force at the very beginning and the shear force at any point where there is a force. So for this beam, this is quite a simple problem. As we proceed, we'll get to see other complex problems. So the critical points we have here are the very beginning here, and this point and this point. So your task will be to calculate for the shear force here, the shear force here, and the shear force here. And the next thing you have to do is to calculate for the moment at every single point, which is here, and here. So how do we do this calculation? I'm going to make the concept very simple. So the very first thing you have to do is to get all the forces acting on the beam. So we are assuming that you have a beam, and then we load it with a load that is applying a force of 5 kilonewton, and it is being supported by this and this. So the idea there is that when we apply load to this to the beam, this load tends to pull the beam downward, and then there will be reaction forces, like these two supportive system will want to oppose this other force. So thereby, you're going to get a resultant force or reactive force here and here. So let's go back to our question. So your very first step is to calculate all the forces within the beam. So looking at the beam now, the forces that we don't know is the reaction that will be felt here and the reaction that will be felt here as a result of this load that we apply on the beam. So how do we calculate it? So the core idea here is that since the beam is in equilibrium, it means that the force that are acting downward is equal to the force that are acting upward. So if we sum the forces that are acting upward, it must be equal to the forces acting downward. So that's the key concept here. So from that concept, we can say that RA plus RB must be equal to this. So we are saying that the force acting downward is equal to the sum of the force acting upward. So RA plus RB must be equal to 5 kilonewton. Alright, so we are going to call this equation 1. Just follow me gradually. I'll try my best to make the concept very easy. So when we get to complex problem, you already have the concept and you know how to make your calculations. So this is our first expression. We are going to use the idea of moment to find these two forces. Now this is how this is done. We are going to take moment at a point such that one of these forces are going to be eliminated. We know that moment is equal to force times distance. So if I'm to take moment here, please follow me. If I'm to take moment here, the moment produced by this reactive force will be this force multiplied by this distance. If I'm to take the moment here, the moment produced by this reactive force will be this force multiplied by the distance from here to here. So if I should take moment here, it means there is no distance, and therefore this RA is going to cancel out from our expression. Likewise, if I should take moment here, RB is going to cancel out from our expression. And you know the law we use when calculating for moment is that clockwise moment is equal to anti-clockwise moment. I use a more simpler way just so I could relate better to it, that the moment as a result of the upward forces is equal to the moment as a result of the downward forces. So what that means is that the moment as a result of RA and RB must be equal to the moment of this 5 kilonewton acting downward. These two are acting upward, this is acting downward. So therefore we can say that RA, alright, let me just write it here. So this is our equation 1. What? We are going to get our equation 2 from using the idea of moment. So we know that RA multiplied by the distance to the point where we are taking moment plus RB multiplied by the distance to the point where we are taking moment. These B, they are not actually, let's say D1 and D2. It must be equal to, so this is the moment of the force going upward. So let's calculate for the moment of the force coming downward. So it will be 5 kilonewton multiplied by, let's say, D3. Now, the distance, let's get the distance. For RA, we are taking the moment at this point. So there is no distance away from the point where we are taking our since we are taking the moment here, there is no distance away from arrow A. So the distance here is 0. So we have arrow A multiplied by 0 plus arrow B multiplied by. So now, what's the distance from arrow B to the point where we are taking moment? This is where we are taking our moment. So it will be arrow B multiplied by the distance from here to here. What is the distance? This is from here to here is 3 meters. From here to here is 3 meters, which is a sum of 5 meters. So we have 5 meters. This is equal to 5 kilonewton multiplied by. What's the distance from the upward force to the point where we are taking the moment? It's from this point down to this point, which is 2 meters. So we have 2 meters here. Now, we are doing this just so either arrow A or arrow B is going to cancel out. And so we get the value for one of them, and then we substitute it back into this expression. Then we get the two values of arrow A and arrow B. Once we get the values for our arrow A and arrow B, we can now move on to calculate for our shear force and also our bending moment, and then we draw our diagram. Alright? So following this expression, what do we have is, notice this is 0, so this is going to cancel out. So we have arrow B multiplied by 5 meters. So we have 5 arrow B, let me just add meters, is equal to 5, so 5 multiplied by 2, that's 10. So we have 10 kilonewton meter. So this is what we have. So arrow A is out because we took the moment such that the distance for arrow A is going to be 0 and it's going to cancel out, remaining arrow B. So we have this. So arrow B will be equal to 10 kilonewton meter all over 5 meters. So we have 5 multiplied by arrow B in meters. So notice that this is going to cancel this, and 10 divided by 5, that's 2. So our arrow B is equal to 2 kilonewton. Notice our answer is in force, so kilonewton. Alright, so since we've gotten arrow B, let's bring back our equation 1. So recall from equation 1, we have that arrow A plus arrow B is equal to 5 kilonewton. And we've gotten the value for arrow B, so we can use it to find arrow A. So we have arrow A plus, what's the value of arrow B? Arrow B is 2 kilonewton plus 2 kilonewton is equal to 5 kilonewton. Alright, so we can make arrow A subject of this equation. So we have arrow A is equal to 5 kilonewton minus, so we're taking this to this part, minus 2 kilonewton. So we have arrow A equal to 5 minus 2, that's 3 kilonewton. Alright, so we calculated for arrow A and arrow B. So let's substitute them here. We have arrow A is equal to what? 3 kilonewton. So we have 3 kilonewton here. And for arrow B we have 2 kilonewton. Alright, so we've gotten the forces acting on the beam. At this support end, we have 3 kilonewton. At this end, we have 2 kilonewton. At the center of the beam, which is what was given to us initially, we have 5 kilonewton. Now, the task here is to calculate for the shear force at every critical point, which is here, here, and here, and also the bending moment at this point, and this point.